Good evening. Welcome to the March 25th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for Maypearl ISD. A quorum of the board is present, and the meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551. If you'll please rise for the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you, God, for this day that you give us. I just ask you to be with us tonight, just to guide our decisions we make in this district, God. I just ask you to get all of us here home safe tonight. In your son's name we pray. Amen. All right, if you'll join me in the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Our next item of business is for recognition.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and invite our principals up. And so we'll go ahead and have Mrs. Gone, if you would.
You want to sit there or? Oh, I get the mic. I'm kind of loud though. I think I'm loud enough.
Okay, come on.
All right. So turn around here, Angelica. This is Miss Angelica. She just recently joined us at the middle school, and it's been wonderful. She has filled in like the largest gap ever, and she's the hardest worker I've ever met. And if you look at her face and her smile, she makes everybody at the middle school happy. And there was a few days that she fell ill and had to go to the hospital. Our kids stepped in the gap to do things for her. We love her. You look beautiful. Oh, little picture. That's what you were waiting for. Oh, look at Zoe. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
So I get the privilege of recognizing Miss Cat, who is one of the paras at the primary school. Miss Cat goes above and beyond on our campus to help our staff with whatever is needed, as well as all of our students. She is always there in the mornings to greet them and make sure that they're having a good day. If somebody isn't, she helps reset however possible. So we just really appreciate everything that Miss Cat does for our students and our staff to help make our campus run smoothly as possible. So thank you, Miss Cat.
Second.
So it is my pleasure that we get to recognize these fabulous fifth grade ladies. They are up here to talk with you a little bit about our upcoming talent show that Miss Stallings is putting on for us, our wonderful music teacher. So they're going to tell you a little bit about what the talent show is, what they're wanting to do in the talent show, and share a little bit about their characters as well. These ladies have been working at lunch. They were working on a play. They've been working at lunch writing their play, performing at recess to get ready for the upcoming talent show. So they've been going above and beyond to prepare.
It is called Ellis. My name is Kennedy, and it is called Ellis Take On Talent. It is for 5th and 4th grade who want to participate. It is at May 13th at 5:30 p.m. in the ISD cafeteria.
Hello, my name is Leah, and I present you to the play with me and my friends, and we wanted to share this play with our talent show on May 13th. And we wanted to tell you how we started planning this out, since me and my friends here we wanted to do this play because we all like the same books and it made us closer.
And she's saying they all like the same books. They all read the Wings of Fire books, and that brought them together.
Hi, my name is Quinn. I want to be in the talent show with my friends to inspire other kids and let them know they can also write their own story, no matter what. My character's name is Gloria. She's a girl. A fact about her is she has special powers. And she guards a hatchery, which is where the dragons protect the.
Hi, my name is Asha, and I want to be in the show because all of my friends are in it, and I love the Wings of Fire book, and I think it will be quite hilarious. My character's name is Luna, and she is funny and kind, and she is rain and ice cream. And one fun fact about her is that she's the youngest and the smallest. To all the different friends.
I'm Miss Harper, and I want to be in the talk show because the show was about my confidence, and I'm the player of the play, and And I want to show other kids that are younger and aren't in the talent show yet that to be brave. My character is Warple, and I have powers, and I love adventures and mysteries.
I want to be in the talent show because I think it can help with my anxiety. And my character's name is Star Knight. She is a rain wing, sea wing, and a night wing. She is the guardian of the dragon scroll.
My character is named Wings, and she's an endless dragon. And she's the most powerful dragon in the book. And here's one fact about her. She can control the weather and the ocean with her emotions.
So these lovely ladies have written a play based on their favorite book, The Wings of Fire. They can tell you all about any of the books of Wing of Fire. What y'all say? There's 15 books, 15 novels, and how many? 8 graphic novels? Yes, 8 graphic novels. So if you are interested in reading, go check out Wings of Fire. They love them. If you want to know more about it, you can talk with them anytime. And if you would get your phones out and mark your calendars for May 13th, 5:30 p.m., be at LSK for the 4th and 5th grade talent show. You'll get to see these lovely ladies along with other 4th and 5th graders who have participated. And then you all have an invitation for that. So thank you. I know it's nervous. Getting a little nervous coming up. That'll be great. Thank you.
Great job, girl.
Let's take a quick picture.
All right, let's give them another round of applause. That takes a lot of courage.
Mr. Harper.
So, this is a recognition of students, but silly high school kids, they have work commitments, they couldn't be here tonight. I'd still like to announce his names. Under the direction of Rachel Brown, our kids competed in District 1 Act Play with a production of Midsummer Night's Dream. The following students won individual awards. Sophia Ramsey, Tech Award. Caleb McBride, Honorable Mention All-Star Cast. Bryce Evans, Honorable Mention All-Star Cast. And we're going to say goodnight to Miss Brown because she's competing in academic UIL tomorrow. So have a good night. Thank you for everything you do.
All right, next order of business, public comment. Good. No public comment. All right, item 6, consent agenda. We'll move to A, minutes for the February 27th, 2025 regular meeting. Do I have a motion? First by Justin, second by Jerry. All those in favor? Item B, minutes for the March 12th, 2025 special meeting. Do I have a motion? First by Adam. Second by James. All those in favor? All those. Oh, yeah. All right, so item C. Motion to approve all items on the consent agenda? Okay. First by James, second by Adam. All those in favor? All passed. Superintendent's report.
We're going to enrollment. We have at the campuses as of this is today, we have members. Our primary campus is at 222 students. Our LSK is at 337 students. Middle school is at 263 students. And our high school is at 367 students, total of 1189. Our finance report. So we have, we've not ended the fifth 6 weeks yet, so we're still reporting on the fourth 6 weeks. As of right now, ISD is running 11/22/23 as far as ADA, and we over budget on 11/30, and the PEA is paying us at 12/17.7. All right, going into revenue and expenditures, we have expended 58% of our budget, which is $8,715,646, and our revenue realized is around 70% of the year, which is $10,101,289. Going year over year budget, when you're looking at revenue funding stores, we are $576,675 difference to the good in revenue, and in expenditures, we are $56,989,000 more than the year prior. When you look at child nutrition is a separate budget from the district's budget, and so right now our total revenue is $18,280 more than the prior year, and our expenditures are down $120,533, and a lot of that has to do with there were some fund balance expenditures last year. It looks like a little over 2,000, slightly over his revenues and expenditures for the year so far. Going further into the finance summary as far as the bond 2023, you can see the balance there on the account as far as the revenue or the amount of bond funds still in the account. And then you have the expenditures there at the bottom to date. It's $15,854,914.87. So as of right now, that's what we're showing in our summary of our finances for at this time, Mrs. Day is going to come up with our board policy minute and share with you one of the policies.
Can you hear me okay? Good evening. We have policy BED local, which is about board meeting and public participation. And you've got this policy in front of you. I'm just going to highlight a few things. This is our local policy. So there are things in here that are unique to our district. Much of this is unique to most districts, but there are a few things that are a little different for us. Again, limit to participation in a board meeting is limited to the public comment section. At all other times during a board meeting, audience shall not enter or discuss or debate on matters being considered by the board. Public comment can be in regular meetings over any topic, but in a special meeting, it needs to be only limited to items that are on the agenda. And then under procedures, in our district, we have 5 minutes is the limit. And if there are 10 or more people speaking on the same topic, then we limit that to 3 minutes each. And then the other, for us, we have public comment at the beginning of our meetings, and that is for our district. Some districts do public comment at the end, and some districts do public comment at the beginning if it's on the agenda, and if it's not on the agenda, public comment at the end. So that is something that the board has the decision on how they want to handle that. Then at the very end where it talks about complaints and concerns, again, if someone's bringing something to the board in a public comment, we need to make sure that that the person's gone through the proper steps, and if they have an issue, that they've gone through the proper channels before they come to the board. And on the very back, it talks about disruptions in a board meeting. If there's disruptions, the presiding officer can ask for for a law official to remove the person from the meeting. So this is just an overview of public meetings that's in our local policy. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to invite Mr. Brent Alexander. He's going to come up and share with you the demographic study that we've recently done for the district.
You all have a handout, and then you'll have the PowerPoint.
Can everyone hear me okay? Good?
And back. A little bit.
A little better? Mr. Bowling, board members, thank you for having me here tonight. It's been about 3 years since I was here last, so I'm going to take you through the highlights of the demographic review that we did over the winter this year. I want to begin by taking a look at the annual snapshot numbers going back for the past 15 years. You can see the official enrollment for the 2024-25 school year is just above 1,200 at 1,209. That was enrollment as of October 25th. You can see that number sits just below the peak enrollment that was reached in 23-24. If you go back to our forecasts from 2-3 years ago, generally the growth has been on our low scenario path. So it's come up to just above 1,200 total students. Now, over the last year, the number's down, a net decline of 15 students. That's a 1.2% decline. But as you can see, the district's enrollment has increased 7 out of the past 10 years. The most recent 5-year period is averaging about 1.2% annual growth. You can see that on the bottom chart there. These numbers are, well, sorry for the slide, the colors off there, but these are the numbers from our national data source. They're census-based numbers. You can see that the district's enrollment growth over these last 5 years has mirrored what we're seeing from national figures. They're counting that the under 18 population in the district has grown about 1.3% per year since the 2020 census. So these numbers mirror what we're seeing in terms of the PEMS data that you all are reporting. So you can see some additional slides here, or charts here, look like on the bottom left, you can see they're counting roughly 1,200 age 5 to 17-year-olds that live here in the district as of the summer of 2024. But you can also see the overall population numbers here. They're estimating a little bit more than 6,500 people live in the district, almost 2,200 total households. Those numbers are growing a little bit faster, so you do have people that are moving here with fewer children or no children at all. Overall, what we're seeing in Ellis County are numbers that are closer to that 3 to 5% per year. But again, the numbers here in Maypearl they are growing. And as you can see, when you look at the chart for all of the attendance levels, note that the chart at the top shows the total enrollment by attendance level in 2-year increments. Note that each one of the attendance levels has reached record enrollment within the last 3 years, and then you can see some of them have fluctuated. But look at the primary numbers. You can see how those that have increased to 229. That's a record number this year. The primary attendance numbers, have grown 26.5% over the last 3 years. This slide here gives you some more insight into what's happening in the enrollment patterns. These are the totals by grade going back 15 years. I've highlighted each individual grade where they had their record enrollment, and what it reveals is you can see there's been multiple waves of growth that have aged up and through the district. You can see the first one over on the right with many of those students that came in back in that 2013-2014 period. They've aged up and through in 21, 22 graduating classes. But then another one, which is currently now at the high school level. You can see you have record enrollment in 10th grade, 9th and 10th grade. When you look at, there's a third wave coming up. It's currently in 4th and 5th grade today. And then seeing those primary numbers go up, you can see that kindergarten is at a record high this year at 110. So these are positive numbers for the district moving towards those faster growth forecasts. When you look at a comparison of what's coming into the district versus what's exiting, the orange and blue lines are your kindergarten and first grade coming in. This chart, when you see those kindergarten and first grade numbers up above that yellow line, typically that's what the chart will look like for a fast growth district. So you have seen it invert for this in 2024, where you do have kindergarten numbers up above what's exiting. So that is the beginning to position the district for faster growth. You're not always graduating more than what's coming in, and you're falling back in enrollment each year. Another thing that's encouraging for future growth from more of the, especially at the elementary level, the birth rate versus kindergarten enrollment is presented here. You can see the total numbers of mothers that gave birth to babies in 76064 and 75167. You can see that number has started to increase. Now, just for reference, remember that we moved this number 5 years forward, so that 214 on the far right-hand side of the chart, that is the 2021 total birth number. That is the most recent data that the State Health Department provides. But the trend is upward, and you can see that this does show that kindergarten could be as high as over 120 next year and trending up towards 140, and that's very important. So remember that at the end when we talk about enrollment projections. Now, we did geocode in January, and so we mapped 1,187 students live within the district boundary. That's 91%, or excuse me, 1,187 were geocoded, and 1,078 live within the district boundary. That's 91% of the students that are enrolled in the district. 9% are transferring in from outside. Those are typically your children of employees. Now we are beginning to look at, with the geocoding, we're beginning to look at what the housing that's come into the district, what it's producing in terms of student yields, and you see a summary of the single-family student yields on this slide. Note that back in 2021 and 22, we were seeing a yield that was slightly higher than today. This year, overall, in our sample, you can see that it's grown. The chart on the bottom right with the blue bars, you can see that the growth in total number of houses that we have been counting in our sample have grown, but we've seen a relatively flat pattern in total number of enrolled students from those neighborhoods. When you look at that yield, you see the yield has come down to overall at 0.5 per house. But when you compare it to what the new construction is doing, which is more of a 0.54, so a little bit higher, what's happening there is what several districts have seen is that your mature neighborhoods, I just wrote down Chambers Creek, Country Acre, Oak Branch, Oak Vista Estates, Taylor, McGregor, all of these subdivisions have seen declines in enrollment. But it's people aging in place. They have moved into those neighborhoods, or kids that aged up through. They're part of those waves of growth that have moved through and out. And as interest rates have climbed, the house lock and people aging in place is a phenomenon that we're talking about in most districts across the state. While most people that had refinanced or were further into their loans had simply just stayed in their houses as opposed to moving when their children graduate, or at least a fewer number are not moving. So that is a reason why we've seen those numbers. If you look at the inset table, you can see that the numbers in second grade through eighth grade, those yields are down a little bit. But strong numbers persist in the primary grades. So the houses are bringing those younger kids, as you can see the upward trend. I have a list here of all of the subdivisions that we're tracking. Note that many of the newer ones that I'm about to highlight are highlighted here in yellow, and you can see that several of those, like for example, CrossFits, up to 165 homes has yielded 0.59. In today's world, seeing a 0.6 yield, that's strong. Historically, we've seen numbers in fast growth districts be more in that 0.7, 0.8, but as there's been more diverse type of households over these last 4 to 5 years, we've actually seen the overall yield in DFW move back towards that 0.6 number. So these are very typical for what we're seeing in other places. Now, what's really been the main driver has been families moving here for new construction. It's been 2024 was an interesting year for the housing market. There were quite a few challenges and headwinds that the market continues to deal with. One of those being interest rate, the high interest rate environment. Also, a little bit of a weakening job formation number in Dallas-Fort Worth. You can see the interest rate here as it's gone up towards 7% in late 2023 and throughout 2024. What that's done is helped. It's like I said earlier. It's kept people in their existing homes. It's also moved more people to the new home side where they can get rate buy downs and more incentives. So it's actually benefited the new home market. These are the resale numbers here in the district. You can see that they've flattened out on the green bars there on the left, about 50 a year. But there are districts that I show this chart and they're back down to like 10-year lows because of the rate. Now, we've also seen with the slower sales and inventory dropping, we've seen prices climb. So you can see on the chart on the right that it is more difficult in many areas to afford an existing homes, which is another reason that many home buyers today are going to the new home side. So speaking of the new home side, you all had in 2024, we counted 80 new home starts and 53 move-ins. Those are represented by the blue and red lines there on the chart. Note the green line are lot deliveries. 2023 was a big year of single-family lot deliveries in the district. Not the 2024 numbers obviously were a lot slower. So here's a heat map that shows you where the new construction in Dallas-Fort Worth, where it's occurred in 2024. So even with the weakening job growth, even with the high interest rate environment, this was the second most active year for Dallas-Fort Worth in new construction since 1998 when our company started counting the activity. But as you can see here, much of the activity today is in the northern markets. Those are where the job growth has been more solid. The southern markets, this ring, the heat map used to go really all the way around DFW, and you can kind of see the gap there on the southern side. So there's been a little bit of a slowdown in activity in Midlothian, Waxahachie, and some of the other southern markets. But again, there's still quite a bit of activity in Ellis County. Here are the individual subdivisions and what they produced in 2024. I would call your attention to see several new ones that have come on that we talked about last time. So Matthews Farms and the lots at Thunder Ridge are now well underway. But the Brahman Ranch was a big subdivision that was under development. It is now open. So these numbers are through December. So they've got quite a bit of activity going. But you can see that quite a bit of future lots are allocated to that subdivision, as well as Byram Ranch, also down there at the bottom. Those are new in Byram Acres as well. So at the end of the year, there were 292 fully developed lots on the ground waiting for houses to be started, and then about 48 lots were under development. That's actually the next phase of Brahman Ranch. So when you look at it all together, in addition to everything that we're seeing that's currently active, there's another 1,300 lots on paper. So when you combine it all, you can see that there's still quite a bit of building out there ahead for the district. The map here shows the subdivision locations. Everything in yellow is currently active. So the subdivisions in blue are preliminary, but you can see right now, as of the winter of 2025, most of the activity is in that 157 corridor with Brahman Ranch and Byram Acres and Byram Ranch being the lead. Note that an additional section of Brahman Ranch is there within the district that's been platted, taking that subdivision up to 1,400 lots in total for that subdivision. Now, we talked a little bit last time about Highland Lakes and some of the mud districts around Ellis County that are being planned. So, for example, up there in the upper right of the screen, that area that's shaded in pink, that district there splits between Midlothian, Waxahachie, and Maypearl and ISD. Just understand that many of the districts that, including Circle S and Highland Lakes, those are currently, the county is fighting back on those developments, so they've been slowed down. Subdivision like Circle S that's in Midlothian ISD might be further along than some of these others, but just know that all throughout the county that there's litigation between the developers that is slowing some of this development down. But what you all have is individual subdivisions going with custom builders and some of the builders like John Houston and Lillian that have been building in Ellis County. So that is projected to continue going forward. My forecast, as long as interest rates are staying in the upper sixes, they have come down a little bit the last few weeks. I think you're looking at about, on average, 80 homes a year. So add that up over the next 5 years, a little more than 500 homes. You could see more than 500 homes by the end of the decade coming online, and at an average of 0.54, you're talking about growing or at least 220 new students moving into the district from these new houses. So that puts us to the enrollment projections that are shown here. Note that the green line is the low scenario that the district's currently on. If we continue to see kindergarten in that 110 to 120 range with the 80 a year new construction, the district is expected to continue on that path. The moderate in blue and in the high scenario in red show an accelerated rate of growth. That's if we start to see kindergarten move into that 120, 130 a year. If it does get to 130, like the birth rate indicates that it might, where you start having those larger classes coming in and moving through, then it would give more validity to seeing the rate of growth move into that mid 2% to 4% growth. But I think that that's going to have to be a combination of rates coming back down as well as the birth rate continuing to decline. So right now, when I met with the Superintendent Bowling, we talked about the low scenario is generally where I would recommend that you all, what the numbers that you all use. But even in the low scenario, you all are at the primary campus numbers. You're right on those numbers. So 250 capacity for primary, you can see that those numbers are expected to exceed 250 even in the low scenario over these next few years. If you see a faster rate of growth in that 2% to 2 to 3% range, it becomes more severe as you move through. The expansions that you all have done are currently underway at middle school and high school, have given you space to absorb the growth that's coming here in the near term. The high scenario shown here as well. Also, I've given you individual grade level numbers for each one of the scenarios over the next 3 years. Any questions at this time? I know that's a lot to cover quickly.
You see multi-generational in your research. For example, you have a grandparent, parents, and children. You see that as a trend or not at all?
Well, in some places at DFW, you definitely see that. Some of the builders actually build multi-generational homes. But it's typically on the northern side at DFW, and it's typically related to more of a cultural buyer. Not as much here on the southern side of the metroplex.
Have you seen any developments of like multifamily, like apartment type complexes coming around in this area? I haven't seen much. We don't have a lot here.
No, most of it's concentrated up along 287 at the moment. You're coming out of Mansfield and 360 and 287. There's a lot of focus in that area, but you have to be in Waxahachie ISD to see more multifamily development back to the east.
All right, thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
We'll go into the bond construction update. You have a sheet. I'll just kind of go over the information real quickly. Construction, the contingency balance is there. You can see $17,333. Owner contingency balance $194,590. Construction, that's for the high school. Middle school contingencies are still $271,064. And then owner contingency $75,000. Total budgets was the $35,166,660. Completed and installed today is the $14,145,155, which we know that it's slightly up since this report because of what we reported to you earlier. And then the percentage completed is 40%. I do know that the brick at the middle school is almost completed. They're looking to be putting in windows. We were talking about this just the other day. It is my understanding that probably by mid-May or late May, we may take possession of the addition of the middle school. So they're looking at getting that completed much sooner than the addition for the high school, the addition out the back. That portion, they believe they'll have completed by early July, and so that we would be able to take possession of that piece, and so that they could start moving into this space and start renovating this, and this space would be classrooms and then a culinary classroom. And my understanding is that will be done until, I believe, roughly October, November before they can open. So they will be finishing up the high schools. So when that happens, we would open for the next school year the new portion of the high school and all of the other existing portions of the high school. This would be just the only portion that would be closed off. We're not going to let them start this until we make sure that everything is finished and we have complete possession of that building, cafeteria is operational, and all of that's taken care of as far as that piece goes. Any questions on the construction? All right. They've done a lot. I do know that they poured concrete in the commons area over here. They redid that. They had a lot of sheetrock going in. There's a lot of things moving internally now. They've got air conditioners on top of the building as far as the high school is concerned. And working pretty soon, I believe, in the next couple of weeks, we'll see a fire line being, maybe in the next 3 to 4 weeks, but we'll see the fire line being poured at the back portion of the hospital. We'll do the hospital. All right, going over the report for the primary campus, you have the document that we posted online that has the updates. Just want to go over a few things that we updated. So the classroom units, the common outside ductwork, and the variable speed to each trunk line with the pressure sensors. This was the portion that needed to be designed by the engineers, Campos, and so they will be working with our HVAC company as well as the supply company. And so what the design portion of this, we were told that we would have the designs by the 21st. We do not have the designs, but what we do have is that they have given, they're releasing all of the documentation. I've talked to Mr. Nathan and I. They were releasing that, I believe it's on Friday, but to us as far as documentation side of that. But they have been talking in conjunction with the HVAC company, and the reason why there was a delay is the designed fans. When they went in last Thursday or Friday, they were doing some measurements to make sure that that fan size was going to work, whatever was designed, was too large, and so they had to go back and do some other design pieces to that. And so my understanding is now that they have that now worked out, and the fans are on order as of this week. So we're moving forward on that piece, and so we should be getting more information on that by Friday. On other items that we had done over the break, HVAC, it's on the last page. At the pre-K classrooms, they had the fresh air. That was actually prior to that. The girls' restroom ventilation fan was installed. There was also a ventilation fan that was installed at the cafeteria, and then there is a ventilation fan that is going to be scheduled for this week to be installed for the boys' side on the kindergarten, the pre-K building. The primary cafeteria, we go over there. In the back portion of it, you'll see these black vents that are at the back portion of it, and that is the fresh air duct and dampers that were added. And of course, again, ventilation fans, and that was all completed by 3/21. That has helped considerably for the ventilation piece to that building being smaller and the students that go in there. We did do the install of the ERV. That was an attempt by the engineers and the HVAC company to see if that would be something that would be we could add in each classroom and possibly be able to have that as a repair or assist us in, with the air quality piece between now and when this engineer piece was happening. And it really didn't impact the air quality, the piece as much as we would like. And so that's not going to work out as far as adding to additional classrooms. But it was attempted. We tested it with, I believe, about 20 people in the room, and it held the number to roughly around 1,200 ppm. But what we were looking for was that be much lower. So our structural structural engineer, inspected the building, over March 18th. There was a portion of the building that, they found some design, architectural designs for the building, but there are some concrete, beams that are in the center portion of that building, of the WPA portion of the building, and so they were unable to get to the second half of that building. They're coming out Thursday, and they will be going and inspecting the second portion of that building. And what they did say to us was, it's a very well built building for its time, but they did not notice any more wood damage or issues other than the areas that have been already identified that we know about currently. They've done some testing with, they do things that I probably not first, but they said that they're not seeing anything beyond what we already know as of yet. But again, they're still going to go into that other section. They're putting a hole in the floor, and they'll be going in. So that portion where that floor is, the reason it's delayed is we wanted to make sure that there was not any asbestos or any materials in that portion of the floor. And so that piece was tested, and there's no asbestos with that, and so that's why we are scheduled at this time to go on. So they'll be cutting a piece to make a door go underneath, and then go do the rest of the inspection as of Thursday. They stated that they're already working on a report, and so I'm not exactly sure. I'll check on this. They said it was a 3-week process as far as the report process, and they gave us the design for repairs that goes out to bid. But all of that work will be done this summer as far as that portion of it. But it is my understanding that the second portion, I believe we'll have a report within the next 2.5 weeks. Is what I'm trying to say. So that's where we're at as far as that piece of the building, and as far as the inspection, air quality numbers. We've been trying to make sure that we go in and look at the building each day. So we, upon the request, the teachers to come in at a different time. We came in at a different time today, and so we have the numbers listed that are all on the website, so you can see where that's at. The first day, I made the brief in saying, well, if the kids are in the room, they'll put the number. We did get questioned on that, and they're like, well, why is there a number? So we'll put the number, but we mentioned that if students aren't in the room, that way they know that there's not students in the room. So we'll still put the number if there's not students in the room, and we'll mark that note that. So we'll make sure that we're doing that correctly. But we're not subtracting a number off the top of any of these numbers. We'll try to make sure that we're recording all that data correctly.
Well, there I am. Okay. So with they're cutting out the concrete so they can access under.
They're cutting out the wood.
They're cutting out the wood. Okay. How many classrooms, I guess, could they not see because of that barrier?
I'm not exactly sure, but I believe it's about 5.
5. Okay. Also, can you describe to us, just to clarify, this engineering? This is separate than the air quality. This is we had some flooring issues in a couple of rooms. Can you describe what all that was so everybody just understands?
So what they're looking at is there's a portion that we knew that there was a closet where it had some wood damage. That's wood, the floor had sunk down, and so they were looking at that portion. It was a closet that has like a PDF closet that has technology in that room, and then another classroom. I'm not exactly sure when that was. I believe it was sometime this fall. Do y'all remember exactly the month? Was that around November, December? There was a floor released from one portion of the back part of the wall. And so there's a beam that runs across that pipe that there's damage there as far as the wood piece there. And so we've been having that looked at and trying to see what we need to do as far as that.
So from the report so far, it seems that it's all basically just in that one area. We just wanted to have the whole building checked out. If we're going to fix that small.
That'll be, they're going to look into the stage area when we're here as well. And they're checking all of those, make sure they're fixed. So they need repair.
Okay. Anyone else?
set a meeting for next week. The reason for that is we're at that point in time where we need to approve the purchase of furniture for the 2 additions, and we have some other things that we need to do. We would like to set the meeting for next Thursday, if at all possible, but obviously what you guys are available.
Any conflicts on the 3rd of April?
Okay, so we'll call a special board meeting for April 3rd. Any questions about check payments list? We're going to discussion action items, and we have folks here to talk to us about the Bogan communication system. So,
Yes.
Thank you. Get everybody to leave, is that what? Thank you, every gentleman from the Board of Trustees for inviting me this evening. My name is Wayne Dalton. I'm Senior AV Sales Engineer with Texas Fire and Sound, Dallas. We're currently putting in 2 Nyquist systems under the construction contract with Gallagher. The one in the high school and the one in the junior high are getting this system. What we've done is propose to put 2 more systems in, one in LSK and one in the primary school. Instead of bringing an entire system with me, I have a short PowerPoint. If it gets too much for you, I will step away from that and we'll discuss it differently. Bogan Communications has been around for a long time, manufacturing initially consumer products, and then they moved into the school market. And right now they're producing a system called Nyquist. It has 2 versions, one for commercial buildings, office, commercial warehouse, hospitals, schools, is not that system. The system we're doing is the education version, which is the E7000. I went the wrong way, didn't I? Oh, I'm missing the button. Sorry about that. I'm hitting the wrong one. We have a school intercom. School intercoms have been around for 75 years. Speaker in a classroom, microphone, console, some way for the principal, secretary to speak to all of the students in the school. System can replace an existing system without rewiring your school. That's what's taking place in this building, and that's what we would be doing in both LSK and primary. We are having to do some rewiring in the middle school due to the system that was in there before. Did not have the same wiring structure, but that's all being done under the general contract with Gallagher at this time. We have a device called an analog station bridge, connects 24 classrooms or 24 offices or 24 individual speakers and turns them into an IP product. So now we're in the IP world. One side of this is analog, one side of it's IP. What's interesting about this system has 120 watts of audio power per device, which means we no longer have to put giant amplifiers in the racks. When we get through with the system, like in this building right here, the current rack that's full of equipment will have about this much stuff in it. It's amazing what technology does today. We can put IP speakers in if you need them. There are certain applications where we will put an IP speaker in. We also have a new product that has just come out. It's a speaker clock. We didn't present it during the construction or when we did the demonstration here a couple of months ago because it wasn't ready to be shown. It is out now, and we can have a speaker clock in one box. We can send messages to that clock of what's going on in your school. We can take existing analog or digital call buttons in the classroom if you want. We can have an unlimited number of speakers in a school. which means through a school district, it can get way out of hand in the number of speakers we can put in. Unlimited programmable zones. A zone would be in a school, say your high school, maybe the east wing is a zone, the west wing is a zone, the athletic area is a zone. That's how you break that out. And it's programmable. These are not hardwired things. This is something we can change anytime you would like to. Two-way audio communication to the classrooms from administration comes from multiple sources. Number one, desktop computer. Any desktop computer that's given the rights to log into the system can make announcements, can make individual intercom calls. School district telephone system. We will integrate with your school district phone system. I'd already checked on that, and what you have here, we will integrate through SIP integration. Therefore, everyone can dial into the system who has rights to. We also have administrator telephones. This phone will be put in your school somewhere, even if we do SIP integration. Because if for some reason your phone system quits working, that phone will still work. So you always have a backup. We have campus paging and district-wide paging. All four of your schools would be one giant paging zone. So you can make district-wide announcements and district-wide emergency announcements through the system. And along the same time, each school has their own structure. We program linking all the schools together. That's a programming issue. Therefore, an administrator could page every speaker in every school. I can just imagine first day of school, good morning, students. Welcome to a new school year. Coming from somewhere in the building. Pre-recorded messages can be played at scheduled times. We can you can pre-record a message. You can put an MP3 file in the system and tell the system, I want this message played at this time. This works extremely well with religious schools where they have a prayer cycle that happens every day. We have several religious schools in the Dallas area that are doing this now. It's a complete intercom. Now, we've had intercoms forever. Clock and bell. All of the clock, all the bell schedules, all the tones, all the class change bells will come out of the system. We can put clocks up if you want them. Honestly, not a lot of schools are using clocks anymore at all. And I'll be bluntly honest, they're not. Unlimited bell schedules per school and per district. So a school can have 10 different schedules, 20 different schedules. You have a regular schedule, an early release schedule, a pep rally schedule. All of these things are pre-programmed, and someone just walks up and selects which one you want to have that day. It can easily be set via local desktop to an individual school, or it can be controlled centrally by IP. Signals can be changed. We have one school that has what they call passing time. A tone rings, for 5 minutes music plays, and at the end, a tone rings. That's their passing time. So we can do whatever you want. And again, you can add electronic tones, you can add pre-recorded tones, songs, music, what have you. You can put the fight. We had some schools that did fight songs, I believe, for their class change. Holidays can be pre-programmed so that the bells will not ring during those times. So we got a complete school intercom. Now we get into the interesting stuff, threat management. Unfortunately today, things are not what they once were. Threats come into schools from multiple sources. Natural sources, weather, tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, things of that nature. The system can receive from the National Weather Service direct messages as to what weather conditions are taking place. So if you have a thunderstorm warning, a thunderstorm watch, we have the ability of presetting the system to listen for that event to come in. And when it comes in, we program what you want to do with it. That's what you want to do with that event. We can just ignore it, or we can take action and make an announcement to school. We might direct the students and staff direct to a storm shelter. That can be done automatically. We have man-made threats. Maybe we've got a traffic accident, got a big fuel spill right out on the highway. Maybe everybody needs to just stay in place. We can program the system to make that event, an event such as that shelter-in-place event. We can easily grab a telephone, pick it up, and page and say, shelter in place. We have contact closure devices in the field. We can put push buttons, a hard push button anywhere you want. And when that button's pressed, you tell us what you want it to do. So you press a button, it could be a lockdown. You press a button, it can be go to shelter. You press a button, it could be nothing to the school, but maybe we send messages to the SRO. Not everywhere else. So we can put a panic button, let staff determine what they want to do with it. These things are programmable. These are not fixed. This is just some of the options that we have with the system. We can send signal other places. That's what I mentioned a while ago. We can receive things from other places through a computer integration called API. There's a couple of the integrators that Bogan has set up with. I believe y'all are using Raptor. Is that correct? Bogan has partnership with Raptor. You can program a Raptor phone. They press a button. They send me a message. We then take that message and do what you want me to do with it. So maybe a teacher presses a button that says lockdown. We lock down the whole school. Maybe we only send messages to certain people in the school and let them make the determination if you want to go to full lockdown. Halo is one of the vaping sensor systems. I believe y'all are using a different vape sensor than Halo. There's another one out there. I know you do because it was in the plans for the new building and we talked about it. Those companies can send me a message. I can receive a message that says someone is vaping in the boys' restroom in the west hallway. I can take that message and audibly send that message to the SRO's office as an audible message. I can also send it to their cell phone. I can send automated emails out to whoever you designate you want emails sent to. We can lock down multiple buildings. So we can, in this district, program a button in each school. If that button's pressed, every school receives lockdown. All four of them at one time. This is a short summary of features. There's 100 and some odd that I can't even remember that we can do. And there's just a whole lot of stuff that can happen. So it's software driven. We have software revisions occur once about every 9 months to a year. We're currently on software revision 9. 10 is coming out next month, I believe. In your, for your 4 schools, for the 2 we're doing for Gallagher and for the 2 we've quoted you, we've given you 3 years of software updates. So, and initially you'll get 3 years of updates from that point. This thing does things we only dreamed about 5 years ago. It's ready to do future because it is being updated continually. Anybody got questions? I know I went over a lot of I see the eyes glaze over.
I got a question. So it's all network IP driven. How is that network segregated from the rest of the network? I heard you say it's username, password, permissions, things like that. How do we keep people from getting into it? You know, we got kids these days that can hack into just about anything.
The system operates on Linux, so it's not operating on Windows.
Yep.
It's a Windows operating system. We can put in passwords that you want. We have our backdoor passwords naturally that we can get in for service. We have an unlimited number of roles that can be set up. So a role could be a receptionist, a role could be a principal, a role could be whatever. And then a person signs into that, and it does have LDAP integration. So it can all be handled through the Exchange server. For all of the schools to work together, they do need to be on the same segment of the land, which is not uncommon. We ask for a VLAN just so we're in our own little world. We do use multicasting in the general announcements is done through multicasting. The bells are through multicasting. So we kind of need that VLAN protection. You asked a question about break-ins. One of the largest school districts in the Dallas area, Louisville, has this system in it, and we have it in, I think we're up to, Matt, are we up to all their schools now?
We're about 85% of their campuses.
85? Okay. And they have never had a complaint. They've had the system for 5 years. They started 5 years ago, and they've never had a software issue. I mean, a threat issue. And I know what you're saying. With teenagers and computers, yes, that's a dangerous place to be.
For sure. I was just curious. And then you said updates about once a year? Is that about right? Or once a year?
Software updates?
Yeah.
9 months to a year. We're about 9 months from the last software update, and the next update is, they told us the end of the first quarter, but we're at the end of the first quarter, so it's pretty close.
It just runs on a Linux server, is that right?
Pardon?
It just runs on a Linux server, is that about right? Yeah.
And the system is the head end, the software itself is proprietary,
Sure.
but the machine is not.
Right.
The Bogan controller, the Bogan server running Linux, if that server were to fail, and we didn't have one and we couldn't get one from Bogan, I could run down to Best Buy and buy a computer, load up Linux, load up the software, and you're back up.
Sure.
Which I really appreciated that out of Bogan. And Texas Fire and Sound, FYI, is the #1 Bogan dealer in the state of Texas. It's number 3 in the United States. We didn't get there by not taking care of customers. I promise.
All right, question. What's the average cost of those updates after the 3-year?
It varies depending on the number of analog station breaches, the number of port licenses there are. Because when you buy the system, you buy the license. You buy the license. We've got Louisville, like I said, they've had their system for 5 years. We've got systems in Louisville, they have never bought an update. And they have systems that have version 3 software, and they have systems with version 9 software, and they all work together. So,
for this district, with this package option, what would the ballpark be for this package option? Is that a number that you can present?
For a maintenance renewal.
I'm going to double down on this question, right? So y'all presented a package option with those numbers, with that setup, right? So what would this package that we're considering, what would a ballpark figure be when that 3 years is up? What would we be looking at ballpark?
I'm going to say a 5-year extension would be about $6,000. A 5-year extension. Versus per school.
Thank you.
What I guess is safer, I'm sure it's easier to use because it's newer, but what I guess are some safety features, like for our children, that this system has that we don't currently have?
In the intercom?
In the whole system that we're being did.
What's here now, or what's going in the new schools?
What's here now when we're in regards to primary and college?
Right now, all you've got is an intercom and clock system, belt system. That's all that's here now. There is no threat management in what you have now.
And Mr. Norman, also, currently we don't have consistency. So the ability to page across the district, we don't have that at all currently. But what is being proposed, if they're all 4 done by the same company, then we would be able to do an all-district page if necessary. the ability, again, what Wayne said, is the ability to push out raptor notifications and lock down multiple buildings at one time as opposed to having to do it segmented.
And we could program different scenarios. In the same telephone, we can program a lockdown local, lockdown district-wide in the same phone at the same time.
Any other questions?
Ms. Guest, what is the recommendation?
I recommend that we go with Texas Fire and Sound with for NPS and LSK to match middle school and high school.
And purchase from the file.
So moved.
Second.
First by Justin, second by Adam. Any other discussion?
Or Jerry.
So I move to amend my motion to clarify that's coming from fund balance to go with the buy board price. That's the $42,664, right? And then the primary is $37,304.
All right, motion by Justin.
Second.
Second by Jerry. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thomas Phillips, I'll let you know. Next item, B, consider adopting a 25-26 application plan.
We'll just kind of talk about the process.
I can do that, yes. Good evening. So there is quite a lengthy process when we talk about adopting the calendar. We start by meeting with our district improvement committee, and we have a big long meeting and discussion where we talk about our options, where we talk about all the mandated requirements for the calendar, and then we have that committee is actually made up of parents, teachers, paras, community members, business members that are all invited to be a part of that committee. So we get as many stakeholder opinions and input as we can. So we take, and then they actually break out into groups, and they work to actually put mock calendars together and talk through options of what the parents think is, are their opinions, and staff members. It's always interesting to see also the secondary teachers and their input versus the primary teachers and the things that they suggest and their input. So it's always a very interesting conversation. And then from that, I take that information back to the admin. We talk with administrators and look at it as a whole, and then I start putting drafts together. I generally compose 2 drafts based on the input from all of the different mock calendars that are created. I put those 2 calendars together. We again look at them as an administrative committee, and then we push out those 2 final drafts to the staff to vote. And there's an A draft and a B draft, and then we collect the votes from the staff, and then we bring to you the option that the staff actually voted on. And that's what you have in front of you.
So the calendar that we have for the
25-26 school year is, at this point, we have new teachers starting on what looks like August, it's actually
I believe it's August 30th. I mean, July 31st and
July
August
31st,
1st.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
And August 1st, and then we would have in-service week going up to the 13th of the weeks, and then starting school on the 14th in August, and then we have first day is the 13th, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Correct.
I'm
For
sorry.
the Wednesday, I believe, yes.
And then we have a fall break over the week of October the 13th through the 17th. Thanksgiving break as it's traditionally done, and so on and so forth as far as weather dates that. Graduation, if I'm looking at this correctly, or the last day of school, would be the 22nd of May.
That's correct.
All right. I recommend that we adopt the 25-26 calendar as presented.
I've got one question. This year, I know our spring break line with Navarro, is this the same?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do align our spring break with Navarro because our dual credit students, so that they actually have a break, and so they're not actually having to go to school at Navarro with their classes. And so we do, that is one of the requirements that we look at is aligning with that, our spring break with Navarro spring break. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that was.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And I didn't mention when spring break was, I'm sorry, March the 16th through March the 20th.
First by James, second by Adam. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Moving on to C, consider recommendation for facilities and or possible campus restructuring for the 25-26 school year.
All right, so looking at our demographic study, you can see we're going to be growing at our primary campus. We are growing. And we're starting to see that wave that's going through, like we talked about. We've had a couple waves that went through that were at the middle school, and then they're moving up into our high school. And we're starting to see a larger group of students that are coming in at the kindergarten, first grade, grade levels as well. When we're looking at our primary, we have a document in your folder. I'm going to follow along with me. But planning for the facilities for the 25-26 school year, given that demographic study, the size of the existing facilities, and the work that's been completed at the campus to increase the size of the campus for the facility that students are moving inside and the outbuilding. So we need to remember that this campus is made up of a conglomeration of different buildings. It's an 87-year-old structure. And so we've had three options before the board. We shared with you guys to look at and just kind of think about. And so I wanted to go over three options with you tonight. Option one would be to move the kindergarten first grade to LSK Elementary. That would be the start of the 25-26 year. Currently, the space is not available, but with the construction of the middle school wing that's being added, there would be available space to move grade level from the LSK over to the middle school, and then moving the special education offices and those spaces over to either what is currently the primary building, or moving it over eventually over to what is the one-story portion of the high school. We have the fifth grade would be added to the middle school. There would be availability due to the added 5 classrooms that are being added to that building. And then moving ISS and DAP away from the middle school because there's availability of 2 different sites that we could do that. Pre-K program could either be that would require us to add portables to the LSK to move that program over, or there would be available space to continue a pre-K program at the primary site. You can see the information that goes along with that. Our long-term facility plan discussed back when we did the bond. We did a long-term facility plan in 2023, and it talked about different facilities that were upcoming. And so there were different options within that long-term facility plan. One of them being, there's been discussion of in athletics, adding a gym, adding baseball, softball. But another big piece of that is adding either a primary school or elementary school and separating the two, separating that out. So that's a discussion that is not just a decision that we make obviously tonight. That's a discussion that would be done through a facilities committee, much like what we did with the high school, where the best decision is made by having the community and having the staff and having all those stakeholders be a part of that, and then that would require a bond to be able to build another facility down the road. But at this point, as far as what's available for the facilities that we have available capacity starting in 25-26 to be able to move kindergarten basically back to where it originally started in LSK, and then moving first grade back over as well, and then looking at the option of adding portables at the pre-K and then back for a pre-K program to be part of that program. Option 2 would be leasing or purchasing portables. This would be keeping everything at the campus where we're at, and adding additional classrooms to the primary campus. This again would be a costly option, as well as if we do the pre-K and moving portables over there. But it's also costly in the sense of, or not costly in that sense, but it's also adding more outside buildings for students to move from building to building to building. So that would require more security fencing, more security pieces that go along with that. There is available space on what we call the old football field out there. So there is available space to add that. The plumbing and electrical and those kind of things cannot be tied into that building. So we're going to have to go out towards the street direction, and that's going to require some more additional pieces that go along with that as far as getting that worked out, but it can be done. So that's option 2. Option 3, I'm not sure that this is necessarily a great option. It was an option that was discussed, if it really is an option, we need to move 7th and 8th grade to the high school campus, which is the one-story portion, and then reallocating students moving 4th and 5th grades to the middle school. This would be a wholesale moving of different grade levels. The problem that you have, there's a lot of problems that go along with that, is that this portion of the building, the one portion of the high school, there's going to be a culinary classroom, computer lab, and 2 or 3 other classrooms that still will be necessary up until October or November of next year. I'm not sure that you would have enough space. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have enough space to make that work. And you're going to have 7th and 8th graders sharing a cafeteria with the high school. So in reality, with that option, and there's other things in here that you can see, it's just not a real good option for, I believe, for our students. But you can read for yourself on the information there. As far as funding these changes, we have the availability of a time warrant that has been paid off as of this year. And so there is some funding available for us to issue up to $1 million in that time warrant. Not that we need to spend the entire $1 million, but be able to, that would allow us to purchase portables, purchase the necessary security, fencing, whatever is required as far as the move.
What is a time warrant?
It's a time warrant is basically a 10-year loan for the school district that we can pay out, obviously over a 10-year period. It is max at $1 million for the school. The district has done this in the past. I believe y'all can do this. We all did it before I was here, so I'm not exactly sure what that was. But we paid it off as of this school year, between the year prior to that. I'm not exactly sure. We just paid it off. So, those are the 3 options. Do you have some questions? Yes.
option one, that's the most cost effective.
Option one would be the most cost effective. The primary campus is going to require that the floor be fixed. We're not sure what those costs are going to be and what the timeline is going to look like for those two classrooms. We would need that piece to be done well before August. I'm not trying to say that it can't be done, I'm just saying that we don't know, right? And we need them day one. Plus, we would need to add at least 2 portables to have the facilities needed so that we would have a correct amount of space for the additional kindergarten and first grade room for growth. We're going to need more space at that campus. And they are literally using every nook and cranny at that campus presently. Primary campus, yes.
Why does fifth grade have to move to the junior high?
Presently at LSK, there are classrooms. If we move the special ed offices and classrooms out, there's some offices that are that way. If we move them out, that opens up 1, 2, 3 classrooms, full classrooms. We can move over at what is a special ed room now that has cameras. We can move there across the hall, and then also use the classroom that's available that we use as an office. And then that opens up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That opens 6 classrooms down that hallway. So that gives us 6 available classrooms down that one hallway. But as of right now, there's not a location or a site to move all of those individuals. Plus, if we don't move 5th grade, there's not any other available classrooms to put first grade.
So why does the demographic study say that the elementary has a campus functional capacity of 650, but we're at 342 projected false snapshots? So that would be roughly another 300 kids that campus could absorb, right?
I'm not sure where that number comes from, but the building right now, and I know Ms. Becker can tell you, is that we have 1 or 2 extra classrooms on the hallways, and typically those are used for like a special ed classroom or an ESL classroom for the pullouts. So you're going to have some room that's going to be used for those pieces. There's 1 additional classroom that's in a hallway that is currently not in use that would that could be renovated and put back to use. There's a science lab that would basically have to be taken out. You could use it, but that's not a typical classroom. That's a classroom that is set up for them to go in and use as their Renaissance labs. There's art classrooms and other things. If you took out, I'm assuming if you took out some of those rooms and used them as traditional classroom space, and you ran those type of classes within those classrooms, then I guess you could get more of that functional room that you're talking
about. Regardless of
it takes away from the programs that you got available.
Regardless of the move, are we planning on making sure that D wing is functional next year, regardless?
It needs, yes, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we're already working on moving towards that now.
How do we feel about 5th grade being in a building with 6 through 8? It's your campus, I'm asking. Yes, ma'am.
We have ways to create some separation like we already do with our 6th grade to our 8th grade by structuring our classrooms in different halls.
So they can hear you on do you mind putting up the mic?
Usually loud.
Well, I'm just thinking
So currently with 6th through 8th grade, I do my best to keep the 6th graders as much away from the 8th graders already. So I've got our building structured in a way where our younger kids are on the hall closer to LSK, and then the 8th graders are on the other side. Now, of course, there's going to be some integration with the halls and everything. But I haven't had an opportunity to actually get in depth with all of it, but I have played around with the math a little bit so that I can create more separation for our 5th graders if they are going to be on our campus.
One of the things that we talked about the survey is as even if the schedule allows for it, not in advance, but if the schedule allows for changing the schedule up front, where fifth grade possibly runs a slightly different schedule to where they're changing at a different period. And when I was a middle school principal, the campus that I was at had a fifth grade and sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, and all of what you're used to, right? And so I think as far as that being possible and being very successful, I think the campus was that way many years before I got there, and was 7 years after I left.
Seems like long before me, it seems like there was a time period, refresh my memory, it seems like there was a time period where fifth grade was in with junior high, but maybe it wasn't.
When I taught here previously, and I was with Galen, we had 7th and 8th grade with high school. I don't remember 5th grade being with middle school. Yes. So.
Okay, like I said, it was before me, so I remember it wrong.
I mean, I haven't been a principal over elementary, and the elementary curriculum is different. So there's going to be a lot of meetings that have to be had to make sure that they get their, their specials, their correct PE time, things like that. And we're just going to have to work with the bells and our schedule the best we can.
There's a way to separate lunches where.
Oh, our lunches are by grade level, so we would have to add another lunch. PE is separate also, so I would have to add some PE sections.
The two portables, could we use those? There's one portable that's a smaller portable that's not an actual portable, and then the older portable that's at the back. As I've talked about in the past, our situation is this. If we don't make a decision soon, it's going to be difficult to do either option 1 or 2. And the reason I say that is because when you start to, you've got to order portables, you've got to get the plumbing situation figured out while we're doing the projects that we're already completed. So there's a lot of work, things that's got to happen, and as we know, things take time in the school business as far as getting things ordered for the kids here. So that side of things is going to take some time. So my recommendation for the next school year is to go with option 1.
So option 1 would be if we make that motion with the pre-K being a variable.
You can, but I would need to know something on the pre-K. We need to make a decision between now, I'm going to say between now and April. We will know more by the April meeting as far as those the repair work that needs to be done for that building. So it is possible that we can wait for that. I think if we wait much beyond that, it may be very difficult for us to pull that.
I got a question. So the pre-K would stay back where it is now? They'd still use the cafeteria if they stayed there?
If they stayed there, they could actually move up to the possibly larger classrooms. But the thing about pre-K is they're limited on the number of students that are in those classrooms. So the quad is large enough for us to be able to utilize that. We would need to add, I'm assist. It's another item, other individuals that would be helping out with that. But yeah, it could be done. And again, the previous district I worked with, we had a pre-K that was clear across town, and we had an administrator at my campus when I was in elementary principal that would go over and work with that campus throughout the week. So again, that can be done. It's best to have everybody on one campus, but it can be done.
Ms. Becca, do you have any opinions or want to say anything?
Say we do whatever we need to do to keep our ladies safe while at school. So if they're coming over to LSK, we're going in to LSK, we're ready to go.
What are your emotions about that?
Needs to be specific. The option one has to be specific on the previous program.
So all of these
Or the special meeting right next week.
How's this gonna affect traffic? Because we're essentially going from, sorry. How's this gonna affect traffic? Because we're essentially going from 4 campuses to 3, right?
So when we've had it would be a lot more traffic, obviously. So we're gonna have to study that as far as how we implement the traffic patterns and work out those details. As far as pre-K dropping off, it would be another situation where if we did put the portables there at the back, they would have easy access as far as dropping off right there at the back and going straight into where they're going. And then we have multiple drop-offs at the LSK because we have a drop-off 1, 2, 3 across the back, and then we currently have buses that drop across the front. That would be something that we would definitely need to study as far as how we may need to stagger some of those things. Make that all work.
Am I just missing it, or do we have an actual breakdown of what is going to be required at the middle school for additional staff, aides, what this is going to take for additional staff at the LSK? Do we have those numbers?
So when it comes to the staffing side of that, that's going to have to be something where we're going to meet and plan, and then also work with looking at our numbers, our classes. Some of these things are being worked out currently, even as we speak, even with no changes. So some of that's going to have to be worked out and we'll look at. We have staff members at the primary campus that will be coming over, that we may have additional folks that would be able to assist in other ways. We may have some gaps where people, someone is retired or resigned or whatever, that would be filling this spot. So it would give us the ability to move wherever we need to fill in a position. I'm just saying theoretically, because we don't know, like next year, we may have a different program for that student, if it's a special ed student, or those kind of things. So all of those things get worked out right now as we move towards the summer.
Well, I have my reservations about moving 5th grade to junior high because I think developmentally junior high mentality is very different from the elementary mentality of instructional coaching. So I have some real reservations about moving that 5th grade to the junior high. Not saying you can't integrate it flawlessly. I mean, I'm sure it will go as best as it can absolutely go. But I think that's some issues that are going to be very difficult. So I don't have an answer for that concern in what's presented here.
until next week. That's about it.
I think this is a tough decision for you. It's one of the biggest changes in our district. But with the uncertainty of that, with the engineering plan, that could be a 2-month project. I think responsibility-wise, we need to make plans for the rest of the week.
Those plans, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt option 1 with leaving pre-K out till we get the final report from the principal.
Second.
Second, Adam? Any discussion?
But this will essentially vacate the primary building minus the cost of the quad, correct?
Correct.
And will we be moving the offices out of the LSK to that facility?
We would, yes. If the construction code allows us to. If not, then we would utilize the available space at the high school, the non-school building.
The reason for that is in our facility program, at some point, it has always been stated that the primary campus would be the end result as far as an admin office. So if we were to move over to this one-story portion of the high school, it would be, if any point in time down the road, if that were to be torn down, build a gym, eventual gym, add on to the high school, then we would eventually be moving again to that facility. So it would make more sense to reduce the amount of moves if the facility can be repaired in a timely manner to get it moved.
But I just say that to say that, like, pre-K is not gonna be, if it holds, and we don't adjust or pivot, they're not gonna be on an island by themselves.
No, there would be folks there. But no, Medina students, there's cafeteria staff members, police officers, guards. We're still required to have police officers. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those against?
I'm for it.
Okay, so, all those for? We don't know, we're gonna table that till April when we get our engineering. And all those against? All for. I know that was let's move to our last discussion action with the resignation of Ms. Ackers for president. We have currently, I'm sorry, Fred Stackett. You got to share?
So for the retention stipends that y'all asked us to bring back as a part of next year's compensation plan, you should have a slide on your screens. That retention stipend would be provided to all full-time staff members at $1,000, and then $500 for part-time staff members. And I don't have it pulled up. My computer decided to freak out a little bit on me and wanted to pull an update tonight. So I believe the number of the estimated cost of that retention stipend is around $183,000. And that's estimated based on our stipend that we did this school year, and that was at half the rate of what's proposed to you for next year. So that's the retention stipend piece. And then do you want to discuss the increases?
Okay, so we have the retention stipend built in, and of course, this is, if approved, then we would start building this into the budget for this next year. That would go to all, obviously, all full-time staff would be 1,000, all part-time staff would be 500, to be paid, as you can see there. We have, we have had discussions where we have our these set employees that are mentioned here, our principals and APs, curriculum director and business manager. Those areas are, we have been basically working to increase those salaries. And so remember, we put some stipends in, and then we work those into the salaries over the last couple of years. And then we've added, we kind of added some different pieces to try to get those numbers up to where we are more competitive with the local market, the local area. But our recommendation for this year is for these jobs, these positions, is to add a flat increase of the $5,000, which would be an estimated increased cost of $53,100. This still does not exceed the market as far as, or the median market for the TASB. It just brings us up to a portion where we are more competitive. And then what we would like to do is bring more information as we are building compensation packages. The only reason we're not bringing the teacher compensation package right now is because there is legislation being worked on, and as soon as the teacher compensation piece of it is approved, if we had approved something now, it could be that legislation puts us in a situation where you approve something and you've got to do that, plus any new monies, you have to do that on top of it, and that would put us in a situation where we may not be able to financially afford to do that. So we need to wait until we know what legislation comes out for teacher and other salaries, but this is limited to these positions so that we can retain those salaries.
So with the admin increase, does it make us more competitive or competitive?
It makes us more competitive, or it keeps us in the ballpark of where we would like to be. It's not by far as high as what some of these administrators can make, but it's getting us into a more competitive part where we try to hold on to the folks that we have. The other portion of this that's also added to this, and I'm going to show you there's three pieces of this. I'm sorry, keep looking along. Is the stipends. So Coach De La Cerda and Coach Mormon's here, and he can answer any questions. But each year we look at the coaching stipends that we have, and the total budget for the stipends is there at the bottom of this sheet. Y'all see that? But you have, but you can see what they have as far as what they had for the 24-25 year. The changes, the girls coordinator was increased by $500. The cross country was to try to bring that more in line with the other head coaching positions. And then as you scroll down to powerlifting, the same is true. And then going down to track, it looks like he's eliminated. Did he eliminate one?
Yes, yeah, he eliminated the two together that were like boys and girls, and just made one head track coach.
Okay, thank you, Coach. And so then that puts that, you can see the dollar amounts. You've got a head coach, a high school assistant coach, a junior high assistant coach, and then you have the cheer coaching, adding a junior high assistant coach stipend, and it's limited one that's there. So
now he added, I think he's added a second or an assistant to the junior high. Is that on there?
Right, that's it.
Okay, he did that because in order for them to go to a camp, they have to have so many. They have to have two, because now we have the 12 cheerleaders, and so the cheerleading association apparently said he has to have one for every 6. So that was with us requesting he needed to add one.
So these are recommendations. It actually is, if I'm looking at the numbers here, the way he did this is budget neutral because of the way he adjusted his stipends. Now, we talked to him about looking at all of this, and if he needed to add a dollar amount, that was fine. We didn't tell him to keep it budget neutral, but that's how he was able to work that out and decided this is what he recommended. So, from there. So, with that said, those are the 3 recommendations: the retention stipend, the admin increase, and then the set admin, and then the staff stipend breakdown.
That's a big motion. I would make that motion to approve those 3, and that's not the right way to say it.
I recommend that you approve the compensation packages as presented.
I make a motion to approve them as presented.
Second.
First by Tony, second. Jerry, any other discussion?
On the last one.
So who's covered under the retention stipend? Not the teachers?
No, that is the teachers there.
Okay.
Or retention. But retention stipends do not affect their salary as far as the time. You guys have asked this at the last meeting to bring that to you.
That's all employees?
That's all employees.
Not just teachers? Any other discussion?
That's a bus drive to get to. First by Jim, second by Jared. All in favor? All right, 8E. So with the vacancy, one of our board positions was recommended that we recanvass the officer position to fill the 3 board officers, one being president, one being vice president, and one being secretary. Now, I have some language. Let's type that for me for this. So we'll start at the top. Nominations are now in order for the office of president. Nominations from Mr. Cooper. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. All in favor? Next will be, nominations are now under the office of vice president. I'm going to nominate Mr. Wright as president. Second by Mr. Roman. All those in favor? Passes. Now, board secretary. Nominations are now in order for the office of board secretary.
I nominate Jerry Norman. Second.
First, and second by Mr. Wright. All in favor? Everyone. And it passes. You voted for that. All right. It is 8:27 and we will close session.
Becky, you going home? Huh? You gonna go home?
Look, I want to tell you something. People ask me that question. That was my schedule this month.
You're a busy man.
I've got meetings, more meetings to go to.
Mr. Becky, you have a good night. If you're not staying.
How are you? Good to see you again. Good to see you.
Yes, ma'am? He has his keys? Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna move this panel back to Miss Amron's room, and I wanted to. I forgot my keys at the primary school.
Is this go?
No, that goes to all my stuff.
Okay.
We went and opened the lab up and we were smelling in there, but it's like a cleaner or it could be an alcohol.
It smelled like alcohol to me, but that doesn't mean. Not drinking alcohol, rubbing alcohol.
It was definitely different, that's for sure.
Not until it's over. Thank you, guys.
side, I can't see it.
All right, it's 10:25, and we're coming out of closed session. No action made. We have a motion for the.
So, on this motion, for clarification, as presented, is
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the 2025-2026 teacher, counselor, diag, nurses contracts as presented.
I recommend that you approve the contracts as presented for the 2025 for teachers, nurses, diacs, counselors, again, for the 2025-2026 school year.
So make a motion as presented.
Second.
First by Adam, second by Jared.
Okay,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All approved. All right, item 11. Board reports. Okay. Motion adjourned.
Third, fourth, and sixth.
Two seconds.
10:27.
2 seconds.
The short timers.